Hello guys, I want to talk about the importance of fair value gaps. A lot of you guys are still trading a horrible system, SMC, break of structure, market structure shift, all that rubbish. And I'm here to cleanse you guys. All right. The importance of fair value gaps allows us to determine our entries, our bias, build a narrative and story. Okay. Understand our exits, partials, everything, right? My whole system revolves around fair value gaps. So if you guys are interested in that, please join the Discord. You guys will get great amount of value, time, price, profiles, everything I talk about more in depth, and you guys have access to me too. Okay. Other than that, I'm here to help you guys cleanse the rubbish you guys have been taught, and we'll get right into it. When utilizing our fair value gaps, they're all here for a specific reason. Some are fake fair value gaps, which I'll be talking about, which I have spoke about in my Discord, and I don't want to, release that information out to the public. I'm going to gatekeep that. But I will be talking about real fair value gaps for you guys, okay? When we understand an area or a price where there is a lack of fair value gaps, so just like this, we have a lack of fair value gaps that is displacing price above or below, that is a seek and destroy condition. That is a condition that we don't want to engage in. However, as we start understanding how to build a narrative such as this, as we get a liquidity sweep, and now what we're waiting for is a displacement, so creation of fair value gaps, that is where we want to start looking for our entries, and that's when we start having our bias set. Since there is a lack of fair value gaps here that are unmitigated, this whole leg from this low to this high is all inducement. This low is almost guaranteed to be taken out. And when we do approach that low, which I'll be talking about very, very shortly, we create a fair value gap that we trade off. As we utilize and respect this fair value gap, we have our bias as continuation bearish. Very, very nice. And again, I have called this live pretty much every week, and my students are capitalizing on it as we do my outlooks. And again, that's how we're increasing our funding, allocating more funding, allocating bigger payout, increasing our personals and all that. So I'm going to talk about the importance of fair value gaps and how we can utilize our fair value gaps. Okay. So when we have a bias like this is all when we play defense. This is all generated interest. It's to get people that are, impatient, that don't know what they're looking for, to get them out of the market. Okay. And again, with our fair value gaps, we don't need to always catch the top. We can if we want to, and we don't always have to catch continuations. We can catch the top. So you have the flexibility of using fair value gaps with your psychology. Okay. And a lot of you guys don't really understand what type of trader you guys are. Do you guys want a system that's a high win rate, low RR, or do you guys want a system that is, low win rate and high RR? Utilizing fair value gaps, you guys can tweak it to your likings. Okay. So here on price, we see there's a lack of fair value gaps, and once we start displacing below, when we have strong movements, we are followed by a fair value gap. Okay, that is just your 3-candle formation with a gap. Okay, that is your gap, that is your fair value gap. Now, as we're going with the assumption that price is now bullish, now that price is bearish, we want to start utilizing this fair value gap to push price lower. Now, as we sweep this liquidity, we get a retracement into where? The fair value gap right here. As we reach our fair value gap right there, we want to be looking at our lower time frames now. This is where it starts getting saucy. Okay, so as we approach this area here, okay, we come with this fair value gap being disrespected. Why is this 4-hour being disrespected? Well, we have a higher time frame, that is higher than the 4-hour right above us. Okay, which is the daily fair value gap. The higher the time frame, the stronger the magnet. Okay, so this becomes a very, very sensitive area. When we utilize this fair value gap, okay, in this area, we are going with the assumption that price is now going to displace below, right? Continue that bearish trend. And you can see as price is reaching this, it's always mitigating a fair value gap. Okay, so you can never escape the fair value gap. So you guys are better off learning, and I'm showing you guys the strength of fair value gaps, even here, right? So all these fair value gaps, it's pushing price where? To our overall drawn liquidity. Once we've reached that drawn liquidity, we jump up in time frame. So now we go on the daily and look for any other fair value gaps here. This fair value gap doesn't make sense to be tapped, and my students know why. So this is the only area I'm looking for. As we reach that area, what are we waiting for? Well, we have a bullish fair value gap right here, okay? And we're going with the assumption that if we are bearish, this bullish 4-hour fair value gap is going to fail. So that means, what are we waiting for? Again, you guys can make this as mechanical as you guys want. You guys can take riskier setups if you guys want to, okay? So that's when you guys can tweak my system and make it your own system and cater to your own psychology. Not everyone is going to be trading the same. Not everyone can trade the same. And that's why we understand the importance of having such a holistic system, and you guys can cater to your own psychology. Very, very important. And as we start disrespecting this, we are followed by, again, bearish fair value gaps right here, which can be your entries, okay? So now if we go down on the lower time frame, let's say the 5-minute here, we automatically know this high is going to be taken out, right? This high is a formation of that 4-hour fair value gap. Very, very interesting. As we manipulate, news pushes price into our key area, high time frame key area, or if price is already there, news is going to push price out of that area to our given drawn liquidity, okay? So since we have this 4-hour fair value gap, we can now be looking for a 5-minute fair value gap entry or a 15-minute fair value gap entry. And once you guys understand that, you guys will understand how to actually trade our order flow. Again, this is a very, very crucial area. We still have a 15-minute fair value gap, potentially even a 1-hour fair value gap that could be present. No 1-hour fair value gap, so we'll just utilize the 15-minute. So we're going with the assumption that this 15-minute fair value gap is going to be disrespected. So from this low to this high, we want to see a break out of this range to see that price is still bearish. Again, we don't need to catch the top, okay? You guys have this understanding of price needs to, reverse here, and you guys need to get your 50R, and this is why you guys still have a losing system. You guys don't understand what you're looking for, okay? A lot of you guys have a horrible win rate, right? And that's why you guys need to catch this 50Rs. You guys need to catch the reversals, and this is why you guys aren't getting anywhere, okay? But other than that, like I said earlier, I'm here to cleanse that, and we're going to get rid of that mindset. As the price taps that 4-hour fair value gap, we are expected, right? Or we are given 15-minute bearish fair value gaps. Again, you could take a entry just like this. This is perfectly fine, okay? This swing high should not be disrespected. This swing high should not be disrespected if price is still bearish. And what do you guys want to target? Well, you want to target a quick 2R or catch the continuation to higher time frame drawn liquidity to the left, okay? Now, we don't look to the left. We don't trade supply and demand zone. We don't trade structure. We trade order flow, okay? So again, learn how to partial, learn how to have a better win rate. It's very hard to have good psychology if you're always losing, okay? That's one key motto of mine. If you're always winning, you're going to have less psychological issues. Very, very nice. And the beautiful thing about this is, even if you don't want to enter here in that 15-minute fair value gap, we can always just enter on the displacement below, right? Once we see the range being broken, okay, as the range gets broken, we are retesting. What's this? It's a fair value gap right here that is also overlapping with, you could say, an order block, right? You could say a breaker block. It doesn't really matter. Everything's the same, okay? You guys don't need to get to the nitty gritty of this, right? This could be your real entry, just like this. That's perfectly fine. You could have a stop loss like that. You could have a stop loss like this. Or if you really want, you could have an entry just like this with the creation of a new 15-minute fair value gap. And what are you doing? You're catching continuations lower. Beautiful. So now if we go back to the 4-hour, you can see that price, again, is respecting the 4-hour fair value gap. So we're going with the assumption that price is going to continue bearish. And now we could jump down on the 1-hour and look for our continuations, okay? So let's say we got an entry there, again, right there. That is an order block. As I said earlier, it doesn't really matter. Everything's the same, okay? Everything's the same. It's all marketed to you guys differently, but that's a video. Oh, that's a topic for a different video, okay? But let's not get into that. And as you're seeing price displace below, we are utilizing these 1-hour fair value gaps to continue that displacement. Again, you guys can confirm these with 5-minute bearish order flow, right? So we tap the fair value gap. This could be a contextual fair value gap. Is price displacing, okay, below or not, right? If it's not, if we aren't utilizing this fair value gap to displace price below, then we wait for the actual tap in, okay? And again, they're going to be tapped in at time, okay? Time is very important. If you guys don't understand the importance of time, you guys will be always taking fake fair value gaps. So for my system, this is a invalid trade. Okay, so now we continue and we allow that 1 hour fair value gap to displace price, and we could have an entry just like this. So you already would have had an entry, a less riskier one here, where you have a pretty wide stop loss, right? And you guys are catching the continuation low. Okay, and as you guys get that 1 hour fair value gap and you get that 5-minute displacement with time, you guys again can target a very simple 2R if needed, right? And then let your trade run. Now, if we continue looking at price again, you're going to see that price is now mitigating another 1 hour fair value gap. Okay, again, we jump back into our confirmation time frame, right? This is the 5-minute. And once we tap this, this is again not aligned with time. So this is an invalid setup. And we wait for the appropriate time. Okay, this does have time. And we wait for our fair value gap right here. But this doesn't need to be a contextual. This could be an entry fair value gap. And again, what are you doing? You're targeting a very simple 2R. And as price continues to displace price below, well, this is when you guys can scale your entries. Okay, so you guys have pretty much, you guys just catching the continuations off these fair value gaps. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Okay, so you guys have time, right, and price being aligned. Okay, and again, this is when you guys really scale your fundings. Okay, this is when you guys can really pass, 1, 2, 3, 4 accounts in one day, right? You're just catching the continuations, a quick 2R partial and you're sweet. Okay, very simple. And again, as you guys continue to follow price, you guys are going to be met with a very how would I say it? A very common price sequence, which I do cover in the Discord, but I'll still, allow you guys to, have some sort of insight. And as we continue to displace price below, you're going to see the displacement, and this is when your trades run. Okay, so you have a beautiful entry there, and the beautiful thing is my system, we are trading all these pairs. We are looking at these pairs, and you guys can have the same move with GCAD, right? And also EuroCAD. Okay, and they're gonna give you the same, almost the same bias, and you guys can have 10 trades hypothetically, or 5 trades that are running 2R, and you guys can go to the correlated pair and find the same thing. How interesting. Again, this daily fair value gap, the first couple taps, they're all fake, right, until you have the appropriate time, and then we jump down on the time frame, and that's when we can really look for our better entries. Okay, I'm going to do another example after this video. And here, there's not much 4-hour fair value gaps that are being mitigated, but we do have our 1-hour fair value gaps that are displacing price above. And when we aren't displacing price above, it is most likely just aligned with the higher time frame, open, low, close. And again, I could cherry pick all this if I want, but it's not really needed, right? You have a fair value gap right here, and again, we're just catching the continuation, displacement, remitigation of the fair value gap, and we're just catching the continuation. It's as simple as that, right? So we know this is all the fake move. Okay, then we are followed by the real move here. When you do have news, okay, and again, news acts as a catalyst, and you're getting these beautiful entries just like here. Again, we aren't taking unnecessary losses. We're waiting for these pullbacks that are pretty healthy, right? Again, 2R, just let it run, whatever it needs to do. Simple as that. Okay, I do want to talk about another example, Euro AED, right here, and you're going to see how simple it really is. Okay, all you guys got to do is just wait until you see the fair value gaps working. Okay, so we have a daily fair value gap right here. Again, I'm not cherry picking this. I've had all these price action already called. Every Sunday I do my outlooks for my students, and we capitalize on the markets as we go. Again, here our bullish fair value gaps aren't displacing price above. Why? Maybe price is now bearish. Bearish to where? Well, we could take out this low here. We could take out this low here, and also this low right here. Beautiful. And as we have these as our drawn liquidity, well, we have the daily fair value gap there, followed by, what do we see? A 4-hour fair value gap as price displaces again. Once again, this isn't a real tap. Why? There is no fair value gap being displaced, and there is no time aligned. Okay, so there is no time and price. But once we do have the real tap, we have our 4-hour fair value gap that is, the bullish one being disrespected, and we have a bearish one right there. Again, we have another entry right here. Beautiful, another 4-hour fair value gap mitigation, and a continuation lower right there. As we are mitigating these, you guys will always get an entry on the 15 or 5-minute, right? And it's up to you guys to have that context if you guys want to take the trade or not. As we're mitigating this 4-hour fair value gap, what do we see? Well, we see a 15-minute fair value gap, which again is going to create another 5-minute fair value gap. So if we look at this again, I'll pop the entry there just so you guys can have a better understanding what I'm talking about. So this would have been the 15-minute entry, and you guys can really, if you guys really want to refine it, an entry just like that too, right? And again, these trades will run to our drawn liquidity. That's a beautiful thing, right? You guys partial at 2R, let it run. Partial at 2R, let it run. It's as simple as that. Anything else that I need to talk about? Not really, right? It doesn't get more simple than this. You know what I mean? As we are expanding and as we're approaching our drawn liquidities, right? If we know it's a real, run, then there's going to be fair value gaps that'll show us. If it's a liquidity sweep, then our fair value gaps will show us too. So your fair value gaps, again, you guys can just see, just looking at the price action below and what's happened up here, how well the fair value gaps are being respected. So you guys need to start utilizing this ASAP. Again, if you guys like what I'm teaching you guys and you guys, it does resonate with you guys, I do recommend joining the Discord.